that's what I did. That's the main board. Also, you've got two little prongs coming out there, so you need to modify your Raspberry Pi if you want to use that facility, because that, there's two pins, they're wired to a reset button, which is a little reset button, which you don't normally get. So normally when the thing it rarely locks up, but if you get yourself into a problem, you have to unpower or unplug and mess about. But with that, you just press the reset button. And all it did was, you needed a 2-pin, in effect, wired socket. And it's something like that you can buy. Okay, so just a simple soldering job. You don't have to do it unless you want the reset button, but obviously I did it. Now to connect it, and I'll show the other two bits in a minute, you just plug it into the general purpose in-out socket and line up the 2 pins for the reset and squeeze it together. So obviously that made my case a little bit redundant, so hence at the moment all I've got it mounted is on the base plate. And then they give you two other little extension boards, one of which is an HDMI to HDMI, so that goes in the Pi's HDMI socket. Like that, so that links the Pi's HDMI output to the input of the extension board. I think it's... I thought I'd written it down. I obviously only came just to show you guys at the end, just to see what other boards are out there. So I think it's called an XL board, XLR board, something like that. But if we get the internet up a bit later on, we can probably go on the site. I thought I'd actually written it down somewhere on a sticky and put it in the box, but obviously not. And then finally there's this little adapter which is to connect the USB, one of the USB ports of the Raspberry Pi, which is obviously the top one, to the bottom of the 4 that's in line with it. So that completes the connection, and you can see it's quite neat. Okay, and then there's 2 nylon pillars that you can see, and that's what I was busily doing, undoing the little nylon screws that come with it, so you can actually permanently fix the board.
You know, you couple the 2 HDMI ports together. Is that still legal?
That is so I can use the VGA. If you don't want to use the VGA,
yeah,
you don't put that connection in, and you just use the HD and put it into the wrong socket. You remove that and you just use the HDMI output.
Right.
So that makes that side of it redundant.
Yeah.
But you've still got the use of the extra USBs because you've made that connection. Again, if you didn't want to use those, you wouldn't make that connection. But then you've got to ask yourself the question, why have I bought this book? If I don't use all the facilities. So that has now given me a Raspberry Pi with VGA output, because you might not all have HDMI monitors. It also gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 USB sockets, a real-time clock. I've still got access to the general purpose bus, and you've also got access to the normal sound and video, composite video, if you want. And of course, you've still got the SD slot. So,
internet access.
You've got internet access on the Raspberry Pi through the Ethernet. But what this allows you to, when you plug a USB device in that, it's seen as obviously as an extra drive, but it's also, I believe, if it sees an SD card, I'll have to come back to you on that. But my understanding is that if it's an SD card in a USB adapter, it actually sees that as another SD drive,
Yeah.
which is rather good.
The internet's available, okay.
Yes, yes. So,
I found it on it's the X100.
no, let me just have a look. Just
It looks the same,
yes, it could. Is that from Extreme or something?
the Extreme,
That's it. That's the one.
the X100 expansion
The
board.
X100, yeah.
Okay. If you want, you can read the spec out. My eyes aren't.
Yeah, I'll just,
If you can scroll to that, Malcolm.
Let your Raspberry Pi up, I think.
Well, yes, I was. Obviously, it'll take a few minutes to connect it, but I will do.
the specs out to English manual? No. There's a, here we go, there's a download.
But there is a spec sheet. There is a yes. It's all on the site really. I mean, obviously the real-time clock works, but I don't think that under RISC-OS 5 they've got a driver yet for the serial. So as far as I know, that's the only one that won't work. Port that won't work at the moment.
Yeah,
Test version out.
Pardon?
There is a test version out.
Oh, what
A
version?
serial port
There
test
is.
version module,
Yes.
so you can drive it.
Plus, so you reckon this, if you download that module, just something you prepared earlier, you must have known. So, should we ever go at connecting it up and see what happens? So, the other thing about that is that you don't need to power the Raspberry Pi. All you need is to power the board, and that powers through the USB. That's the other reason you've got that USB link up.
You can't do that through a power cord. Some of them.
Yes, well if they haven't got a backfeed diode in, you can do that, yes.
Is there case available for that?
I think there is on the site, although,
However,
yeah. I didn't worry too much at this stage because I've only just really acquired this, so I haven't had much time to play with it, to be honest.
So do you need a VJ out to check that?
Well, that would be useful, yes.
Right. Have a VJ out.
So, okay. We'll need a USB mouse and keyboard.
All right. Let's have a look. Has Terry got those lying around? Definitely USB mouse there. That's a start.
That's a good start.
Yes, USB keyboard. There we go.
Thank you.
Super.
Yeah, well, yeah, the converter will be up to the, but, I don't know. Is that,
Yeah. Correct.
So the thing to bear in mind now is that we're not coming out of the HDMI socket, so we're really looking at the quality with some discretion here. Does it look all right?
Yeah, not bad, yeah.
Because what I had to do in the past, when I wanted to connect to my VGA system, I've had to use something called the PiView, which I got from CPC, which is the HDMI to VGA. And to me that gives slightly superior results than that. You can buy these off the internet, but having bought a couple, they didn't work. You have to actually go and get the PiView from either Farnell or CPC, which is maybe adaptable or kind of, what's the word, where they sample things to make.
Oh, right, so up converted, won't they? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they might have to get one in with a particular spec, I don't know, but this seems to work. And the interesting thing for those techie types is that when you plug it into a PC or something, it sees it as a Lontium. So this appears as a video adapter with the name Lontium, and its resolution, optimum resolution, is 1920 by 1080. And I would say that is on this board is equally as good as that. Without looking, I can't remember the specs, but I suspect it is with that specs, which is what.
That's full HD.
Yeah, that's full HDMI
Yeah.
into. Yeah. So, perhaps if I know I was going to do this, should have brought an adapter, because I've got a spare card. We could have plugged it in just to see if it did appear as. But
Yeah.
You can use the alt button to get to either partition as well. You can use the alt button to get to the other partition. If it's SD card.
If it's bigger than a 4 gig, is it that, or bigger than a 2?
So you can get to the PC partition
All right.
or the Briscos partition by using the alt button.
right. Should we try
Found
that?
that at the show.
See what happens now.
Don't return them.
If it's in the USB, we've got an SD card in the USB slot.
Right button, click.
Yeah.
This in the
You
USB.
can see it also comes up with even though I haven't got anything plugged in, you're still getting a USB drive icon. That isn't normal on a normal Pi, is it?
No.
I don't.
Network.
Yeah.
That's,
I didn't think it was that icon. It would normally be a disk icon, wouldn't it? Oh no, I've got landline. So, yeah. So that's, to me, filled my needs as a good VGA, extra USB ports, and a reset button, and just need one power supply.
One thing about the SD card, I'm not sure whether I'm right here, but because you were saying if you plug the USB in with an SD card, it detects as an SD card rather than a USB drive. I've got a feeling it's much quicker, because I know on the Pi if you plug an SD card reader into the USB normally, it's quite slow.
Right.
Well, it's significantly slower than the SD on board. I just seem to remember reading something about it's much quicker with the expansion board. So if you're doing any copies between SD cards, that would
Yeah.
be.
I mean, really, we'd have to do some tests on that. But obviously, this wasn't meant to be a full demo, so obviously I'm a little bit hazy.
I'm going to say the real-time clock on the expansion card.
Oh, that's what I wanted to check.
That's not recognised by Wishcop at the moment.
Is it not? I thought it was.
No, it usually it's only usually done one on the main motherboard. The R-time clock, they haven't developed a driver for it yet, but I know they've been looking at writing one. A few people have got this. It's a useful add-on. I've been looking at getting one.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
I'm looking for,
Top, wow.
It should be using a real-time clock from the,
I'm looking for time.
there is one on the actual bike.
Alarm was it?
Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
it. Oh, is it
It's
already-
running down the bottom there.
Right. Yeah, you're right then, because the time's not right, is it?
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. They
So-
haven't written the driver for it yet, because it's a different kit to the one they've written the driver for.
Yes, the one that CJE's promote. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess once these come out on the market, somebody may develop.
Somebody will develop a model for it.
Yeah, if it becomes popular. So unless somebody's got any questions, or
Well,
I like-
yes, sort of. Part of the reason for having a real-time clock is
Hurry
so
up,
you can,
Terry.
apart from hurry up, Terry, is it to file stamp things, so your files, so you know when you did them, so you can actually put them in file date order. But can you get the time off the internet if you're connected to the internet as well?
quite possibly,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not set up for the internet.
it's not.
Normally it is.
It's normally on that setup. I was just wondering, you
The
know.
internet's over there.
Yeah.
Plug it in.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I can do,
Well,
can't
plug the
I?
internet in,
Behind
isn't
it.
it? The internet on a wire, as we have it. Yeah.
So,
You'll have to take a picture of all this. It's like a shed load of wires coming out of two small things. I think they all weigh more than the bits do. So it should be 8:15. That's the theory.
to go in config.
Configure just to the left. Right, NetSurf's loaded. Okay.
Surely to find out what network settings are, isn't it?
Depends whether it's auto or it's too fast. I think it must be manual.
I'm sure. Oh, I might have given it a fixed IP address. I wonder. Access internet. Host name.
Interface.
Yeah, I've given it.
Sorry? But I'm back in the input.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, this is set up for my BT router with the.
I might ring you up and say, we think we found your board.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one.
I think what we should have done was probably plugged it into Terry's Raspberry. Because I really don't want to be altering the settings on this. Suppose I could.
What are you trying to do?
Well, it wants.
Yeah.
It's 192.168.1.254 for the...
Of course.
Yeah,
We all remember that sort of thing.
yeah, but this is the.
What happened? No, it's the same type of...
This is the DNS. That's the DNS. That.
What you have to do is change the host name, the routing, yeah.
Yes.
I'll just make that 1 instead of the 0. Should be fine.
Isn't the PlusNet
Tom
254?
Putnett, yeah.
Isn't there? Won't that interfere with PlusNet? That's the
That's a
router's
Putnett
IP address.
Router, yes, standard setting.
So that's the gateway address. That.
That's the gateway address, yeah.
It's the same.
That'll be fine.
No, oh, sorry. It is.
That's the gateway
Yeah,
address.
yeah, that's right.
Oh, right, now he's getting rid of it.
You've got an extra digit in there now. That's
It
it.
goes in the
If you
clock.
try that, it should just work.
Yeah.
No, it won't.
It might not like the DNS.
What we've got to do
Don't
now.
keep next to me, keep saying interface.
Interface. We'll
Right.
say it together.
So what you've got for that?
IP
Just
address.
change the 0 to a 1 or something.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Well, actually, it might be better with DHCP.
Yeah, you could do.
I can alter that, I know what that is.
Greyed out for some reason.
Oh,
Let's put some right inside.
You need to delete the default
That's
route.
it, DHCP, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Close it.
I need to take these out.
Well, we need to take one out, put 8.8.8 in, that'll do it.
Well, you know those tricks, Chris.
Well, it's good.
Most people just sat at home and they're going,
We'll
8.8.8.8. That's Google's DNS. That should be the one that's up all the time. I have to know all this stuff, but I have to do too much of it at work.
I thought you might have something like that, yeah.
When you've got 750,000 people to support, you have to remember some of this stuff.
Is that each or are there two of you?
Probably wants you to reboot.
Yeah.
Oh, application gone wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll reboot, it'll probably be fine.
That's the reset button.
Oh, I'll tell you what, you've got a gateway now, you've gone to DHCP, haven't you? You've got a gateway address, you'll get an error, I know you will. You'll
It's
get a
nice to be
container.
reassured of these things, isn't it? Yeah.
I've fallen for it, I guarantee you, it's the one everybody falls for. When you've got DHCP, it doesn't need it. There you are, that's why. You can cancel, take out the gateway address and you'll be fine.
If you want, Steve, just change the res to 720 on the monitor down the bottom.
Oops.
I always double click that, I don't know why.
I do, don't worry.
Gateway, take the routing. Go to routing.
A routing, yeah.
Yeah, take that out. Blank it. Set and restart, I should do it. Takes it all from DHCP, it finds it all.
Because I know if you start up NetSurf with your Pi not connected to the internet, it doesn't like it. It likes you to restart and have it connected before you start NetSurf up on the Pi. I don't know if that's a normal thing. It says it can't find DNS resolvers or something similar.
If it's DHC.
You might get sample work.
The thing is, because it sets those, I think it's MISC-OS sets those on boot.
Right, yeah.
You don't know.
I know it, because I've got like one of these home plug things and I always go, oh, it's upstairs, let's plug it in, you know. So.
Still connected.
Yeah.
We've lost the mouse.
Re-plug it.
Try and reset them.
Reset button. No, try that reset button. Go on, go on, go on. You know you want to.
What do you do, change the power?
No, I haven't.
Alright.
No, no.
Red off. That's waking up now.
Gosh, it's quick at booting.
Oh, it is. I mean, if you do the Linux side, I think it's 2.5 minutes. I think it's...
The PC, hang on. No, we'll
Yeah,
just
well, exactly. I think it's...
PC's about quarter of an hour.
You might need to be doing something with that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's 30 seconds for the Pi. So if you had something you thought you might need to reset more than twice a day. Yay!
Congratulations.
It's Eurovision.
So what's
isn't it?
what's this?
Where's the time?
Hey, no.
It's going to be sorry in this one.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, yeah.
Use dx.com.
Oh, that's it.
X100 anyway.
So, Steve, just change the resolution at the bottom to 720. Then everybody will be able to see what's going on, including yourself.
Okay.
Well, it'll work in that surface on the matter, but
Yeah, 1280 to 720 should be fine.
1280 by 720.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They can all see what's going on. I think the equivalent size screen you need would be about 8 foot square.
it's on the Amazon website anyway, so
Yeah.
it's all fine.
Yeah.
With it?
It's the X100. If you just do a search in there for X100,
All right, yeah.
you might be lucky enough to get that to render.
That's it. Right. The X100.
Yeah,
Any spaces?
no, it's only one X100. DX100?
X100.
The X100.
No, it's just X100.
What was
Yeah.
it?
DX100, you got your old PC processor, wasn't it? Was that DX4100, wasn't it?
That's obviously JavaScript button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not working on it.
Yeah,
Doing
buggers.
something.
Get Google to find it for you. Google is always your friend. The fountain
Yeah,
of all
that's
knowledge.
What?
Huh?
That's Amazon, oh yeah.
Recent.
What's that?
So there's quite X100 there.
It's times 100.
Yeah.
So you can buy 100 pounds.
There we are.
So if you go to the top one, that's loading very slowly, but it's the that should be the specs for it.
Right.
I think that's the company that actually makes it. It's Subtronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sticking your finger up and get that pointer.
Steve, did it come with all those connectors that you
Yes.
pushed in? It did?
Yes.
Ah, there it is.
Can we not get that bigger? No.
That's quite a good picture of it, actually.
It is, yeah.
So you've got these additional little plugins for the GP
Yeah, you can have up to
for
connect-
programming that.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing I didn't mention. You can see they're all numbered, so you know which ones. Okay. Directly connected on top of the Raspberry. Duplicate the 26-pin header. Input voltage. 3GA to HDMI converter supporting up to those resolutions. Yeah, that's the. So it's a USB self-powered hub. So it says you've got HDMI. Oh, that's right. You've actually. Sorry.
You've thought of
Read the spec. It's actually got an SD card slot and a micro SD card slot. So that's when, if you put your SD, so forget what I said about the USB ports. If you put your SD card in there, it should see it as a second. So that's. So we'll try that in a minute. Might get white on it. Real-time clock based on that chip.
Terry made it home yet?
Reset switch.
Ah, right, okay, never mind. I was going to say we've got his Raspberry Pi.
And these are the accessories that you get with it.
Ah, right. All right. Thank you very much. All right. All right.
So even though it states that they're that kind of accessories, as part of the package, it was $37 for those. But what you see, what I actually got was what cost $37.
So it's all the bits, basically.
But there are other accessories, as you can see there.
Right.
So you get your GPIO connection wires if you want, they're optional. And you can buy these reset pin headers. Okay. So that's just a little bit about mounting it and how you fit it all together. And a little bit about the power supply, the spec that you need for the plug, but it's a fairly standard one that usually suit most powered USB hubs. It's the same power supply plug for that.
So it's saying that you don't connect you know, power the Raspberry Pi through the micro USB when you're using it?
Well, they're already, it's already connected.
Oh, right, so you just plug one into the top. And
So,
that's
you know, with that link that I put in, so in doing that, that enables that for it to get its power, or the Raspberry Pi to get its power from the
yeah, so
board.
you don't need like two power supplies for it.
No.
Apparently the power supply for the X100 is better than the power supply direct through the Raspberry Pi itself. More stable and a wider ranging of power. It's better able to handle the power.
Because it's not particularly robust, these micro US,
Yeah, no,
It's anti-
a bit
USB.
toy town, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Is it a man? Is it a plane?
What did I go for?
Yeah. And what did you come back with, Terry? That's the question. You want to get through there? We've just had an ad hoc presentation from Steve. So,
All right,
yeah.
better than me.
So that's a little bit about the RS232 port, the serial port. Presumably that will work under Linux, no problem. Real-time clock. So all the information is there for you to have a fertile around and see if you would like to purchase it. So this is showing Raspberry Pi. So that is your actual fact, your manual. The manual is on the site, so whatever means you want to choose to get that information off the site, you can do it. Yeah.
Price include postage.
I think it did actually, but what more information, what you might get about what each little socket does, and you can see quite clearly the SD card, and I think the micro one is underneath somewhere.
So it's got like a built-in adapter.
Yes. I think it may say somewhere that you don't plug devices in both at once. It's either or.
Yeah.
So it in effect acts as a USB hub and card reader. Okay. So that's another shot showing the sockets without the bridge. So that's the end of that. Okay, so I think you're all welcome to actually have a look at the board after Terry's given his demo.
Right.
So I'd like to leave it there for now, gents. Thank you.
Rock, helping you with Acorn and Riscos computing.